back, all my outdoor friends, to the Camping Life with Tim. I'm at Purtis Creek State Park again. Got my little hound dog with me, the old Black Panther. She wanted to come and see if possibly she could find some animals to kind of sniff out and maybe terrorize. She thinks she's all bad and everything. But yeah, she's already looking around trying to see what she can find. Can't find nothing though. Yeah, we're going to walk back here on the Beaver Slide Trail. It's back here where all the primitive campsites are. It's about a mile trail. Of course, they got a board down here, A through M. That's how many campsites are back here. Looks like a couple of them are reserved and the rest of them are available. But we're going to walk back here, check things out, see if there's any wildflowers growing out. And who knows, maybe she'll get to see some wildlife to kind of get her all excited. So let's go ahead and take a hike back through here. It's a beautiful day today. Using my body cam rather than my handheld. It's kind of hard to work a handheld camera and a dog at the same time, so yeah, it's a little bit smoother, I think, when I go out here on these hikes, where it's not kind of shaking all over the place. One thing I don't like about the body cam, well, I'm sure I could probably take care of the solution, but it has a timestamp and a date that's on it. Of course, it's not even correct. It's way off. It's showing back in 2024, and this is 2025, and the time's off. But I haven't figured out, how to reset it, or even just not even have it on there. So you see the timestamp and the date. Just kind of overlook that because it's definitely wrong. Yep, she's on the sniff trying to see if she can find her something. It's a nice day. A little chilly, but not bad. Cool breeze blowing. Of course, all the trees are nice and green now, so plenty of shade. Which I'm sure you'll need that during the summer if you come to these state parks and hike some of the trails. When it's up in the 80s and 90s, the shade is going to be a kind of a blessing. Of course, you do go hiking on these trails during the summer. Just make sure you're wearing the right footwear and the right clothing, and always bring something to drink with you. Don't want to dehydrate out here. But even the ground covering is getting pretty thick to where you can't see back through there as far as you could during the winter months, when it was just pretty much everything dead and it's just wide open space going back through there. But yeah, you can tell it's springtime and everything's growing. I know we've been over and hiked the Red Trail and the Blue Trail, which are two awesome trails to hike, a little bit longer distance. And yeah, we're starting to see some wildflowers are growing and berries are starting to come out again. And yeah, it was starting to look pretty. Of course, there's that one tree that you've probably seen in one of my other videos. It's got like a knot on the tree, and I've been told that trees that have that like growth on them like that, they say it's a tree that had stress. I'm not sure exactly what they mean by stress, unless it was something that was kind of keeping it from growing, and it just kind of knotted out like that. I really don't know. If you have any clue on what they mean by stress, please leave me a comment. Wasn't any other cars in the parking lot out here. There was down there on one of the other trails, but I don't think there's anybody back in here today. It's during the week, and usually there's not a whole lot of people here during the week. Of course, that might change when summertime comes and people are starting to be on vacation. But I always like coming when there's not a whole lot of people here. Better chance of seeing some wildlife, and it's just peaceful and quiet. And the beauty of these parks are just surreal. I enjoy coming to these things and hiking the trails. Where it's quiet and you can hear the sounds of nature. Listening to the birds sing, which I'm hearing sound like a cardinal off in the distance here. Now this trail here is hiking only. There's no bikes allowed back on this trail. You can take your bike over there on the other trails. There are some pretty cool campsites back in here. There's 4 of them that I recommend that are good campsites for setting up tents, and it's F and G and L and M, which I like F and M the best because they're more hidden off of the path. But you do have to walk back in a ways carrying all your camping gear. Of course, you can use a wagon. But you will have to fight over like roots and ruts and things like that right there. Getting back in here, I did have a wagon. Of course, I made a mistake buying I guess more of a cheaper wagon, that the wheels were smaller, and well, that didn't last but one trip back through here, going over these ruts and humps. So I upgraded, you could say, to same size wagon, but it was more of an all-terrain wheels. They were a lot bigger. They can handle this type of terrain going in. The other one would be good for if you're like on concrete or blacktop or pavement or more smoother ground. But if you're going over tree roots and rocks and stuff like that, no. Better have you something a little bit better, better wheels on it that's gonna handle that type of a terrain going through. We have had a little bit of rain here and there, being it was a rainy season. And I can see this one little area. Looks like it's got a lot more water in it than what it has in the past. So the lakes are filling up a little bit, but they're still way low. We need a lot more rain, but this season so far has been kind of strange, because usually, being May, we don't have this cooler weather like we've been having. It's almost like we just bypassed summer and went right straight into fall. Not that I'm complaining. I mean, I'm going to be out here hiking trails. I'd rather it be a little cool than hot. Look like a little water been right through. Get out of that mud. Get out of the mud. Well, I do see animal prints in the mud. It looks like possibly raccoon and maybe some deer. And for a minute I thought I saw a couple ducks in there, but I think those are stumps sticking out of the water. Yeah, they don't seem to be moving. Of course, probably can't see it through the camera because I can't zoom in on the body cam like I could the handheld. Oh, it's definitely nice and quiet out here. Well, there's one thing about all the ground growth all thickening up and green where you can't see through very far. It's going to make it a little harder seeing any deer if they're off in the woods, unless they're real close or happen to be crossing the trail as you're going through. Yeah, water has come up a little, not much, but it's getting up there. Not seeing any wildflowers yet, but kind of surprised. Seeing butterflies, hearing birds. Now you will be able to check out some of my first videos. When I first come to the park, you do reviews on the camping sites and the prices and things to do. But these are the primitive campsites back in here, A through M. You can go across the bridge that way to the right here, and it'll start out with A and then follow on out around to M, and they are spaced out pretty good, but like I say, some of them are more hidden than others off the path. But if you're going towards the M end, to me, I think I would go straight and go around that way to get to it. I do have an outhouse out here. No electric, no water. So, yeah, you might want to bring a light with you if you're going to be on the inside and close the door, because it will be dark in there. However, they do have a dusk to dawn light, a solar light, so to speak, that does light up at nighttime, so you know, it makes it a little easier finding out here in the dark if you're out here on the primitive side camping. So, you know, you don't have to walk all the way back out to the parking lot to go to the restroom out there. As far as bugs, mosquitoes, Not seeing too much down that line as of yet, but I'm sure that'll all pick up, you know, a little further on in the year. So I guess when that time comes around, make sure you bring you some bug repellent. A little bit of wildflower, not very many of them, just one little patch here with about 8 flowers on it. A little white flower, almost looked kind of like a daisy, small. But I'm sure I'll run into some more on up here where I'll take a picture of. That way I can add to the video of some of the plant life. If you do come out hiking with your dog, make sure you bring a little bowl, a little water, so they also have something to drink while you're out here. I always carry that with me because they like to get pretty active out here, walking back and forth, sniffing around, and, you know, always have her something to drink, which we stop every now and then. I'll give her a little bit. We kind of take a break and look around and listen to the sounds. Just enjoying nature. What do you think? Sniffing out any wildlife? Finding anything? They probably know you're coming. They're hiding. Oh, I did see a squirrel, but that's the only problem with using your phone to take pictures. You're having to turn it on and set your camera to, no. Well, the Black Panther saw it. We was ready to go terrorize it, but yeah. It took off, so I didn't get a picture of it. Because when I get my camera set and look up to take a picture of it, oh, it's not there anymore. It's already moved. There's pretty open space right through here. If there were some deer off in there, I would be able to see them. I really need to get me a wildlife photography camera, something that'll zoom out there in the distance and make it look like a close-up shot. The handheld camera will zoom out so far, but it just doesn't do a picture like I would like it. Of course, the camera looks like it zooms out a little bit more, but it takes too long to get it out and get it set to take a picture. You know, it's alright for taking like wildflowers or plants or things like that. It's I'm not going to just up and take off or move. And I figure a photography camera, something good, would probably work. Because basically all you got to do is just aim it and focus in and shoot. See another little patch of these white look like kind of daisy flowers. I see some more right there. Let me see if I can get a picture of this right here. This is what I saw back behind us there, a little ways back. Not very many of them. I see kind of little patches here and there. I see some little yellow flowers in here. See if I can't get in here. Maybe take a pic of it if I can get to it without being in the shadow. Where's it at? There it is. There we go. Somehow I got it slipped over onto video. I don't want that. I know a few of the birds and sounds, but it surprised me when I learned that there are over 600 species of birds in the state of Texas alone. I didn't realize there was that many. But that's what they say. A little bit of a downhill grade here. Not much, but a lot of roots and rocks. So be careful with your footing, or you might get down here to the bottom of it a little quicker than you planned. Alright, we have come to the backside of the primitive campgrounds. We are here at Site M, and yeah, it's down in there, but it's well hidden because you're going down and kind of curves back around through all that thickness where you can't see it from the path here. So, you know, these are great campsites. I recommend L and M, F and G. Plenty of places to set up, you know. Two, three tents. They're pretty level. They're right on the water where you can do fishing. I really thought I'd see a lot more wildflowers back through here. Looks like they need to do a little trimming right through here. Branches are starting to hang out over the path. I would say on most of these primitive campsites, you probably got 200 foot, maybe more, in between each campsite. Out here. Back out here. You don't need off in there. I know you're sniffing something in there, but we're not going in there. We're staying on the path. This is campsite L down in there. You can see where the fire pit is, but where you'd have your tents would be kind of hidden down in there. Yeah, really thought I'd see a lot more wildflowers than what I'm seeing. Saw more over on the, I believe it was the Red Trail. Saw quite a few wildflowers over there growing. That was a couple weeks ago, I believe. But I'm not seeing much of anything over in here. But it is still beautiful. But it's one that you can somewhat see down through there to the campsite, not like F and G and L and M. Those are the four that I would recommend if you had the opportunity, if you're going to come tent camping in a primitive. Those would be the ones I would try to get. The others, some of them you might only get 110 in, but it's not level ground, a little bit of a slope to it, more open to where somebody walking the path here would be able to see you down in there. Birdie, 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 birdie. That's what it sounds like it's saying. I don't know if the camera mic's picking up on the sounds of the birds. But if it is, and you're kind of a bird watcher or familiar with birds, you can hear the sound it's making. Maybe you can tell me what bird that is. I'm going to tie you up, dog. Keep wrapping around me. Stay on one side. Yeah, this is a kind of a clear example of what I'm talking about from the path. That's a campsite right there. But as you can see, it's on a slope and it's just wide open from the path. Not much privacy, but if you don't mind that, you know, that's Campsite H. Well, so far the only thing we've seen out here today is a squirrel. And hearing birds, but not seeing any armadillo or any deer. And occasionally you might see a raccoon during the day, but usually they more or less come out at night time. That one there's, I mean, I can still see in there, not quite as much as I could at that last one, but you know, it's not very level down in there, but well, yeah, it is kind of level because that's G. That's a little more hid, but it's a good place to camp. But like I say, if I had my choice, it's going to be F or M. I believe those to be the two best campsites here. Kind of hoping Saturday or Sunday, well, it's supposed to be Mother's Day Sunday, but I mean, I may go to a different part this weekend because I'm off work. Been putting in a lot of hours and the past few weeks getting ready for a corporate inspection. So I had a lot of things to get done before they came. And of course, we, you know, did pretty good. There was a few little minor things that, you know, they're telling us we need to take care of, but overall it wasn't bad. So, you know, time for me to kind of slow down a little bit and take a little time off, do some of the things I want to do. So I think I just may go to a new park that I haven't been to. I've been to this one, Purtis Creek. I've been to Tyler. I've been to, well, some people call it Lake Tawakoni, but the proper name is called Tawakoni after the Indians. And then I've been to Martin Creek State Park, which that's a pretty awesome place. It's not very big, but you know, it's got an island trail with primitive campsites on the island, and you know, the other two trails, they're decent trails, you know. I mean, what's nice about going to these different parks is, you know, they're all different in their own way. The trails are a little bit different, although, you know, you're still walking basically through the woods on a trail, you know, but they're still different. The terrain, whether you're going uphill, downhill, different type of trees, you know, bushes, plants, the grass, you know, it's all a little different. Kind of what makes it enjoyable. With that beast being in the city, listening to all the traffic and construction and a lot of people talking, noise, these parks are just so, it's like being in another world. Nice and quiet, peaceful, beautiful. Looks like they might have had the mower back in here and mowed a little bit. Kind of keep the paths clear. The grass not too tall. Well, here's a fire, kind of all by itself. Not much, but a few here and there. But you really have to look for them, because they're, being that there's just one or two or five in a little group, makes it kind of hard to see them. It's not like driving down the highway and you just see a whole field of nothing but blue bonnets. And I'm not sure whether we've even really had a good season in the blue bonnets this year. It's been kind of a strange year so far, and almost got me thinking that we are probably going to have a drought this year, where we just won't get no rain and nothing will grow. There's a feather of some bird, kind of a reddish color. See if I can get a close-up pic of it. Where are you, feather? Get out. I don't know what bird it came off, but I'm not real familiar with a lot of the birds that there are here in Texas, but that color doesn't remind me of any of the birds I know, like cardinals or robins, crows, woodpeckers, and a few others, and there we just passed the last campsite. Now there's a couple cardinals I see. They're flying around over there in that one bush, straight ahead. Probably can't see them unless they fly up out of there. Maybe you might be able to see them. Definitely hearing some different bird sounds. They're going to kind of stay in that bush right there, I guess. They're not going to fly out of there. But there are two of them in there. And I'm seeing some of these little white flowers right through here. That's pretty much about the only ones I've seen of these white flowers. But kind of look like a white daisy in a way, just a lot smaller.
Morning.
Hello.
Afternoon, I guess.
Huh?
At first I said morning. I said, well, I guess it's
Yeah, it's probably noon by now.
Hi, baby.
Or some mushrooms or something right here. Or toadstools, whatever you want to call them. We're back out here to the split where we went straight past the outhouse, going around that way and coming back out right here. There's a feather. Not quite sure what feather or bird that came off of, but it wasn't here earlier. There. Hello. I know you want to play, but we're not playing. You go home and play with your buddy at home.
See, she has a dog brother at home. So
Yeah.
she's less scared of him, I believe, more scared of you. She's a stranger danger. She had just threw a fit over a woman walking by, and now she's calm. So
Yeah.
we'll see how she does.
Hey.
Say hi. You're very cute.
Come on. Come on.
You'll have a nice walk.
You too. Come on. Let's go. Come on. Come on. Seen a couple people out here walking. There's a few more of those little red toadstools, mushrooms, plants, kind of hiding. What do you see, squirrel? That what, ran up the tree? We're not chasing them. Is that a hootie owl? Sound like Hooter. Sure that's what that was. Sounded like an owl. Like, if I remember correctly, I think that sound was a barn owl, maybe. He's back down there the way we just came. He's a hooting at the cat.